Let's see if, oh, I already haven't even started and the light is being dumb. This is gonna be a fun thing. Hi everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very nerdy with my March haul. So before we get started, I do want to let you know that the husband is mowing the lawn and I have to film this right now. So if you hear lawnmower sounds in the background, which I'm sure you will, that's what's happening. As per usual, it's a very large one. Although, I kind of mentioned this in my last video or my last haul when I was talking about February, because it was relatively short. I was doing like a test, if you will, not really putting myself on a ban, but putting myself on a restriction and seeing how that's working. And I kind of did that here as well. I'm looking at my things and I think there's one book here that is, okay, two books here that are not part of a book subscription box or that I like spent actual like money on. The rest of these came from a used warehouse. I had pre-ordered it, or it came from BookBox. Looking at this stack here, it's quite large, but most of these things I didn't actually like pay money for, if that makes any sense. So I mean, I didn't do great because there's still a stack here, but I did better when I'm thinking about like what I actually spent money on. So we'll see. We'll bring it into, you know, April, see how we're doing. I can already tell you that April is probably already going to be not great either. So looking towards the future, but let's dive into what we got in March, because a big chunk of these came from our used warehouse, as per usual, I feel like. The first one is a Fairy Loot exclusive special edition kind of book that I got to match the first one, which I haven't read yet because, hi, I am ridiculous. And that is Defend the Dawn, and this is by Bridget Kimmerer. This matches my copy of Defy the Night. Let me grab it. So this matches my Defy the Night, just, I mean, not perfectly, but it does kind of go. They both have sprayed edges, things like that. One of these, actually, now that I'm looking at this one has a ribbon, which this one does not. So I got this because we got this one in one of our boxes. I don't remember which one. This one is to match Defy the Night, which is supposed to be, I believe, a trilogy. From what I remember, it takes place in the world of the Cursebreaker series, but I might be wrong on that one. We have the beautiful edition that I pre-ordered from Fairy Loot. Nothing too fancy, but I did want it to match my editions. Do I know what the series is about? I don't know what this one's about because this is the second one, but the first one follows like a girl and like a rebellion, and there's some stuff going on. So this series follows our main character, Tessa, and it's in this world where there is rebellion and there is like a plague that is hitting everybody. And there's something called the Moonflower, which is supposed to be an elixir to help out. And our main characters, Tessa, and somebody that's like one of her friends, Wes, there he goes, risk their life every night to go find said flower and like give it to their neighbors who are struggling. But it seems like this thing that they're doing, this Moonflower, isn't actually working, and that there is a possible, you know, cure, help, elixir, whatever you want to call it, but it's in the king's castle, and so she has to break in to do that. And I'm sure much more comes from that, but this is the second, so I don't know what this one specifically is about, but this is a series that I have started to collect. So let's hope I like it. Alright, then we have a bunch of mass market paperbacks. The first one being a Karen Slaughter book, which is Triptych, I believe, is how you pronounce it. This is not showing up well on camera, but this is a mystery book that is part of the Will Trent series by this author, and this is for my husband, actually. We have been watching the TV show adaptation that they have been doing here recently and very much enjoying it, and my husband is someone who loves to see what the source material looks like, so he picked up the very first one in that series. So it basically takes place in Atlanta, and it's this guy named Will Trent who is part of the GBI, which is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. He grew up in the foster care system, so he's got a lot of stuff going on there. And it's him and his partner, Faith, who basically are solving a bunch of crimes. And this one is, basically it says, women are dying at the hands of a killer who sciences work with a single chilling act of mutilation. Awesome. That's the first in the series. I tried a Karen Slaughter book, and I couldn't get through the prologue, so I most likely will not be picking this one up, but this one is for my husband. And now we have a bunch of mass market paperbacks that I don't really know what they're about, because that's who I am as a person. The first one I picked up was Bride of a Wicked Scotsman, and this is by Samantha James. I have actually not heard anything about this author, but it has a beautiful step back as well. And this one follows Lady Mara and Alec. And Lady Mara is part of this family where there's something called the Circle of Light, which is an enchanted Celtic relic, was taken from her family by a pirate, and so his descendant is Alec, and she basically forces him into like getting married, and they basically enact revenge on each other. I don't really know what that means, but they go back and forth because they're married now, so they're stuck, and so it's their romance. It looks Scottish. It has beautiful step back. It has the word Celtic on the back. That's all I needed to know. The next one is another Scottish romance that I don't really know much about. It's a Susan Enoch book. It's Scott Under the Covers. It's part of the Wild Wicked Highlanders series. This is the second one. I have a third one in the series, and I also found the first one in the series there, but its cover was really messed up, and it was more expensive than I wanted to pay for a cover that was messed up, so I haven't gotten the first one quite yet. But it says here, when a resourceful English lady and a hot-blooded Highlander join forces to trick a scoundrel, every rule will be broken. Don't know what that means. We follow Miranda and Aidan. So, Scottish Highland romance, need I say more? I'm not sure if this is true with everything, but at least the books that I have so far by Susan Enoch all are like pun in some way in the title, and it just makes me happy. Another one is a Lisa Kleypas book, and that is Married by Morning. It says One Night Can Change Everything, and it has a beautiful step back as well. And this one, do I know what this is about? No. Was it a beautiful cover? Yes. Was it Lisa Kleypas? Also yes. Those are the reasons I picked it up. This one follows Catherine and Leo, and Catherine is the paid companion to the Hathaway sisters, and Leo is her charge's older brother. So they basically somehow end up getting married. I think he kisses her, and all they do is fight. So they're like, no, I have no attraction towards you. And then all of a sudden they kiss one time, and they're like, oh my gosh. And he like proposes marriage, I think. No, it just says proposes a dangerous liaison. So I don't really know what that means, but I'm sure there's more. It makes it sound like they both have secrets hidden in the background of their stories. But I bought it for the cover and the step back. I'm not going to lie. Love me a good Lisa Kleypas. And then the next two books are by Louisa James, and they're both part of the same series. And I feel like this is 2 and 3 in the series. And this series follows a bunch of different reimaginings of fairy tales. So the first one is When Beauty Tamed the Beast, with a beautiful step back. And then we have The Duke Is Mine with another beautiful step back. So The Duke Is Mine, I believe, is based on Princess and the Pea, which is correct. And then obviously When Beauty Tamed the Beast is Beauty and the Beast. And I feel like the first one in the series might be based on Cinderella. Can't remember if I am correct on that or not. But I've had The Duke Is Mine on my kind of like just wish list of TBR and stuff like that for a while. So when I saw it, I was really, really excited. And then I realized I had the second one there as well. So I don't think I've read anything by Louisa James, but I love me a good retelling. You guys know this. And the fact that they are historical romances with this retelling is not something that I've ever seen. I always see retellings, especially fairy tale retellings like this, in a fantasy vein. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to do it with historical romance. And I've heard really good things about The Duke Is Mine. So that one is calling my name most, but I had to pick up both because they were both there. How beautiful. All right, the next few are all non-fictions, mostly for my husband because of course they are. This one is for me, actually. It looks like really funny, and it's called Ungovernable, and it's Victorian Parents' Guide to Raising Flawless Children by Felice O'Neill, and it seems like it's just a giant joke. It does talk about like how parents would govern their kids and kind of talk about raising kids, but it's done in a very humor section. It was found in the humor section of the store, so I have absolutely no idea. This is a shocking and wickedly funny illustrated guide to the secrets of Victorian child rearing. So that sounds utterly ridiculous, but I think it'll be fun. It's full of like pictures as well and illustrations, and the chapter heads are just some of the funniest things. I've ever seen, but it seems really humorous while also giving you some information, so I decided to grab that one. The next one is a memoir of sorts, and that is by Jon Stewart, and this one is called Naked Pictures of Famous People. Because of course it is. It's a Jon Stewart memoir, so of course it's a giant joke. Chris really likes The Daily Show and, you know, Colbert and things like that, that is in the same vein as Jon Stewart, and has really enjoyed some of Jon Stewart's stuff, and so he picked it up. It's not very long, which is actually surprising. It actually, now that I'm flipping through it, it looks like, I don't know, it looks like a hot mess. Like, there is some stuff in here that looks like, we've got pictures randomly in the middle. We do have what looks like essays. We have what looks like journal entries. We have a script at one point. I have no idea what this is. This looks like a giant humorous mess, but I'm sure Chris will very much enjoy this. And then the next one is one that you've already seen, which is Newsfail. Chris picked this one for me for my TBR. We shall see if I can make time for it. It's by Jamie Kilstein and Allison Kilkenny, I think. And there's this podcast called Citizens Radio, and they both do it. Jamie is a stand-up comedian, and Allison is a journalist. So it's just a collection of what I think it sounds like they're essays, all focused on a topic of some sorts. So I think it'll be quite funny, but we shall get to this at some point. But having worked in news, it was something that had sparked his attention. So I'm also very interested to see how it's going to work, because love a good humorous take on the media. The next one you will have already seen as well, because I read it in March, and that is Beautiful Bitch, and this is by Christina Lauren. This is part of the Beautiful Bastards series. This is 1.5, so it's the novella between the first two books. It follows our main two characters from the first book, which is Chloe and Bennett Ryan, and this world basically, it takes place, I mean, I don't know why I said this world, it's a contemporary. It takes place at this giant firm called Ryan Media, and it's the Ryan family who owns it and works it. And Chloe has known the Ryan family for a very long time. And so Bennett is an executive within this company. He has worked in the UK and eventually does come back to the US and gets assigned Chloe as his assistant. And that has happened before the book starts, but the book starts with them, and they basically start up a relationship. And so this takes place after the events of the first one. It continues on. It's basically like a collection of stories in a way. I mean, it isn't, because it's them like a year since the events of the first book, but they have some moments where they look back, and so like you have scenes within their heads that shows you kind of what happened at the end of this. So it is a collection of stories in a sense, but it takes the relationship to the next level, and I very much enjoyed it. So check out my wrap-up if you'd like to see more, but I have actually read that one. And I also picked up, because I am ridiculous, Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas, which is the third book in the Throne of Glass series. No, third? Yeah, third book. Sorry, I keep forgetting if this is the third book or if I'm including the prequel, which I'm not. I'm having an internal struggle here because they don't make these covers anymore. She has released new covers, and I don't think I can get the paperbacks of these with these covers. Do I like the new ones versus the old ones? I don't really have a preference, but I bought this one because I was really worried that I was going to stop being able to get them in this cover, and now I can't find the rest of the series. So I might have to repurchase them in the new cover so they all match, because they all have to match. But this is the third book in this series. Do I know what Throne of Glass is about? I have not really any idea. I just know that it's Sarah J. Maas and it's super popular, and I think it's her first series. Like, I feel like it was Throne of Glass, then ACOTAR, then Crescent City, if I'm correct. So this is like an assassin story. At least the first one follows an assassin, kind of, and she's part of these trials. I'm doing a really good job of explaining what this is, but it's such a popular series. I feel like everyone knows what it is at this point, and I have no idea what I'm getting into, but I love Sarah J. Maas, and I want to know what this series is about. You know, like, I need to know all of her stuff. So I grabbed the third one, which I'm almost regretting now, because I know that they're going to have a cover change from now here on out. So I'm slowly collecting them. So we'll see. We might have to swap or something, but I did it! I bought the third one. The next book is my Book of the Month book that I received in March. I did finally do another month. I found a book that I was actually very interested in, and that is The London Seance Society, and this is by Sarah Penner. This, I think, is going to be perfect for the fall. I think I'm going to hold off and read this one in the fall, because it just feels like perfect for that time. But this follows two women. One of them is, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher these names. I'm so sorry. It takes place in 1873 in London. Victorian London is kind of where it's set. Valdeline, maybe. And she is a acclaimed spiritualist. And then a woman named Lena comes to Paris to find answers about her sister's death. And that's not her name. Her, the spiritualist, basically is really good at like people who have been murdered and like finding out who did it, you know? And so Lena's sister she has questions about her sister's death. And so the two of them team up, and then they get called to London to be part of the Seance Society. And like Lena goes as her assistant / a budding spiritualist herself. But it sounds like there's way more to the story than that. I don't really know what we're getting into, but it's seances and women, power women, and I'm really excited to see how that's going to go. But I've had my eye on this one, and it did actually come out this year, so I kind of had it in the back of my head. So when I saw that Book of the Month had it, I said, oh, well, yeah, I gotta get that. So that's my March book. Next two are both part of the Fortuna Sworn series, and that is Restless Slumber and Deadly Dreams by KJ Sutton. These are books 2 and 3, and they are just starting to get thicker and thicker. I'm hoping to get to Restless Slumber this month for the readathon, so you should be seeing me talk about this one relatively soon. But like I mentioned, these are books 2 and 3 in the Fortuna Sworn series, which I have just fallen head over heels in love with, and it follows our main character, Fortuna, who in the first book, it has been a couple of years since her brother has gone missing, and everyone's convinced that her brother's dead, and she is not. She's convinced there's something else going on. And this Fae guy shows up and basically is like, hey, I know where your brother is. I can help you, bring you to him, help you kind of figure out what's going on, but you gotta marry me. And she's like, okay, all right, why not? And so then she gets basically embroiled in the Fae court and all of that fun, dark stuff. It gives me Hades and Persephone vibes, even though there's absolutely nothing about this that is a reimagining of that myth, but that's just the vibes that I get from it. And the first one took me heart and soul, and the second one is like twice that one, and we just keep getting bigger and bigger. So I'm so invested now that I was going to wait until they all came out, but that's not happening. I need answers right away. So I bought the next two so I can continue with my obsession of this series, because it's a problem. There's a lot here that all I want to do is read them. And then I also picked up Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, which is the next book by her. It's not in the same series. She just writes a lot of STEM romances. So this is her second book about a STEM romance after The Love Hypothesis, which I just fell head over heels in love with. And this one takes place in NASA, or around NASA. And I think that, just based on the first one, I think this one's going to be amazing. This follows Marie and Levi, and Marie has basically been given like she's a neuroengineer, and she basically has been offered a position with NASA to lead her own project, and she is like, this is amazing, I can't believe it. But then all of a sudden she has to co-lead with Levi, and as she is doing this, they've had some past. They both went to grad school, and he couldn't stand her in grad school. They kind of got off to the wrong foot there. And in this new position, she's discovering that no one's listening to her. Her equipment is going missing. Her team's not listening to her because she's a woman. So you have all of those conversations. And then Levi actually starts backing her plays and, basically trying to be an ally for her. And so there's a romance between the two of them. But I loved The Love Hypothesis, so I think I'm going to really enjoy the other ones. She has a third one coming out this year, I think. If it's not out already, I think it's coming out. And then a bunch of novellas, which I need to get my hands on as well. But I picked up the second one. It doesn't quite match. It's a little bit smaller than my other book, which drives me nuts, but I have it, so that's exciting. All right, so the next one is one you've already seen because I read it last month, and that is Kingdom of the Curse by Carrie Maniscalco. This is the second in the Kingdom of the Wicked series, which I have fallen head over heels in love with, and I do apologize yet again for the amount of times I'm going to talk about the series in the future because it has taken over my life. But I loved the first one so much that I went like almost straight into the second one. Again, if you want to see thoughts on this one, check out my March wrap up. It's already out. But this series basically takes place, this book, I can't even tell you what it's about because huge spoilers for the first one, but the first book takes place in like an Italian setting. We follow Amelia, and the book really gets going when her twin is discovered murdered, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And they are witches, so they have kind of kept that under wraps, and so she's thinking maybe someone's out to get them because they're witches, and she ends up teaming up with Wrath, who is one of the wicked, which is the 7 deadly sins, aka like men from the underworld, basically. And she teams up with him because he is trying to figure out what's going on as well, because her sister is the most recent in a string of murders just like it, and he wants to know what is going on. So it's the two of them teaming up together. One just continues, obviously, right from the first one. I fell in love with this series. I tapped the crap out of this book. I cannot wait to get my hands on the third one when it comes out in paperback. I'm obsessed with this series, and I love every second of it. So I had to pick up the second one because of how I loved the first one, and then my love just continued, you know? And the last 2 books that I'm going to talk about are both books that came in my most recent Fairy Loot unboxing, the YA and the adult book. So I'll leave that unboxing up above if you'd like to check it out, or if you don't want to be spoiled. Thank you for watching this video, because that's all that's left are these 2 books. So the book that came in my YA Fairy Loot is City of Nightmares, and this is by Rebecca Schaefer. This is just a beautiful addition. I'm obsessed with it. It says, face your fear or become your nightmare. So this world, I'm probably not going to describe this as well, because I'm honestly very confused, because I feel like this is going to need a lot of world building to really make sense. But this book follows our main character, Ness, and she takes place in this city called Newham, which is a city that never sleeps, because dreaming means waking up as your worst fear. So you can either be turned into a nightmare, which basically means that you could be monstrous in appearance or not, or you could be an unrecognizable creature that terrorizes the city, which is what happened to Ness's sister. So Ness is trying to lie low. She joins what's called the Friends of the Rest for Soul, which is basically a cult. And in trying to lie low in order to stay alive and not die of fear, she basically like cons her way into doing a job with them. And that job turns into basically a building exploding. And she and this other boy, who is a nightmare boy, are the only survivors. And they basically team up. And she's convinced that he's gonna like kill her at any second. So there's some danger going on there, but I don't really know what we're getting into. This sounds genuinely terrifying, but I'm also super intrigued by this world, because like, what the heck does this even mean? So I'm very excited about that. Probably won't get to that one until the fall. And the very last book in this video is my adult Fairy Loot book, and that is this beautiful book, which is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, and this is by Shannon Chakraborty, aka S.A. Chakraborty. This one is like pirates, and I'm very, very excited. Obviously, we follow our main character, Amina, who was a pirate and basically has taken on retirement. She's good. She's holding back. She wants to be a mom. She wants, you know, to be a good parent for her kids. She's just kind of taken on the fact that she's not going to have any more jobs. And then she's offered a job it says here that no bandit could refuse, and she basically jumps at the chance to get her crew back together, because they will make this mission will make her legend that offers fortune that will secure her family's future forever. This is the first in a series, so I think we're going to probably have maybe a trilogy. I think if I looked it up, I feel like it was a trilogy. But the more she dives in, obviously there's way more to it than that. I can't really show you this very well because it's just so shiny and there's so much gold foil happening. But this genuinely sounds very good. It's quite a thick one too, which surprised me. But look at that beautiful end pages. I am obsessed. I keep calling them end pages. Stenciled edges, but that one sounds genuinely exciting, and I love me a good pirate story. I don't read a lot of them, but I do actually really enjoy them when I get around to them. So I am hoping to get to this one soon as well. And that's it. That's a look at all the books that I picked up in the month of March. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. Please let me know if you've read any of the books, as always, in these videos. I want to know all of your thoughts on them, and let me know which ones I should prioritize if any of your favorites are in this video, especially the Fairly books. Let me know if you've read any of those, because I really am trying to be better at prioritizing the books that I get in Fairy Loot and subscription boxes. I'm not great at it, but I'm trying to be better. So let me know if I should prioritize these. But if you liked this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so check all that out, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!